Sustain's evening snacking solution. This is going to be split into two parts. If you think you just need a few tips, tricks and tasks in order to overcome evening snacks, then part A is going to be all you need. If you think in order to be successful, then you need to change the way that you think about food and the way that you respond to temptation on an evening, then parts A and B are for you. Before I get stuck in, I want to add this. Part A will help you avoid snacks tonight and maybe for the rest of this week. And if you keep referring back to it and stick to those processes for life, then it might help for life. But that won't work for 99% of people. If you engage with part B, then not only will you be able to better manage the way that you eat on an evening, but you'll be able to tackle the other obstacles that you have with fat loss. I'm talking about making good choices for meals out, how to handle food being in front of you, saying no when you're being offered food, meal prepping when you're tired, cravings when you're bored, learning about the way that you think can enable you to tackle all of these issues and more. And this goes way beyond food into all areas of your life, your work, your family, your friends, anxiety, anger, grief. We all live our lives according to the thoughts that we have. Food is not just fuel to keep us alive. It's a reaction to external events. It's a source of joy, a source of pleasure. Food can be community. It's one of the easiest, cheapest, most effective and most socially acceptable forms of boosting your mood that exists. It's no wonder people struggle to manage it in balance when we're never taught how to manage thoughts and emotions effectively in school or for most people by our parents. And exercise is about 10% of this battle before your back gets red from too many pats on it. 5 ways to tackle evening snacking isn't going to have the same overspill into the rest of your life and the rest of your fat loss efforts. If that sounds like a load of mumbo jumbo, then you aren't in a place where these bigger changes are accessible to you just yet. If that's the case, then work on implementing part A, and when you feel that you're ready to dig deeper into the way that you think, then come back and watch this again, or feel free to ask me a question directly at joe@sustainnutrition.co.uk. If you think this is of use, then either start here immediately and implement the things that you can do first, and then work on the way that you think after. They do tie in together, and I'll explain how to do that shortly. So, the top 3 tips I've got for helping you, part 1 of 2. Make it difficult to go off plan. If your house looks like the storage room for Willy Wonka's factory, it's going to be an uphill battle. Get the high-calorie food out, or at least more difficult to access. Don't be tight-fisted and buy single-serving options. Having 200 grams of Haribo or kettle chips is asking for trouble. It might cost you £1 more financially, but would that lead, or where would that lead results-wise? Would that really cost you in the long run? Number 2, give yourself some focus. Odds are your evening snacking isn't occurring between 2 life-altering, engaging activities. Most people will be snacking as part of their downtime routine when their mind wanders. So don't let it. Give your mind somewhere to go, something that you enjoy doing. People can often celebrate when they believe they've found the holy grail, that their eating is triggered by boredom. And it's like celebrating finding the ground when you fall over. It's nothing to actually help you fix the problem. It just gives you a bit more awareness. You must recognise what you're doing and engage your mind more actively. Do something you enjoy. Part 2 of this training will look more into this. If you like reading, then having a book on the side is a great place to start and make this more likely for you to do it. Part 3, or number 3, go to bed. So often people have an aversion to going to bed earlier, as if by somehow watching crap TV, they're getting more out of their life, even though the calories they eat at this point are dramatically impacting their lives negatively. Often evening snacks are had for reasons other than hunger. Your decision making is impaired by the fact that at the end of the day you've made thousands of decisions that day, called decision fatigue, and I believe this is why typically people struggle more in the evening, as well as having undereaten during the day. If you implement these 3 things consistently, the quality of your evening nutrition and likely your results will improve. Now, part 2 and the mindset part of this training. These ideas previously, in my opinion, are nice little kickstarters, but they're far from a main course or an overarching solution to the problem. Most people looking to lose weight are unaware of the range of things that they need to change. We see one problem and we believe, often in hope, that this will fix all the problems that we have, like evening snacking. It's my job as a coach to help people become more problem aware, so then they're better equipped to tackle the obstacles that will inevitably continue to come up. The broader theme behind evening snacks is the same theme that I talk about consistently, as I believe that it's the area that underpins all successful fat loss efforts, and that is being able to choose how you respond to various thoughts. The vast majority of people crave high-calorie food numerous times throughout the day, and especially at night. So what separates those who are successful consistently from those that aren't? And I believe it's the ability to have a thought and not act on it. It suddenly becomes clear that having a single task to focus on an evening becomes a flawed approach. Because what happens if you don't fancy reading or cleaning or clipping the dog's toenails? Suddenly your house of cards comes crashing down because your one tactic or three tactics isn't appropriate in that situation. It's not your lack of focus that is the very root of your evening eating. It's your current inconsistency of being able to have a thought and having a thought linked to food and let it go. Choosing a different area to focus on is one way to facilitate managing the problem, but it's not the solution. Just as a tissue isn't a fix for a common cold. What I would recommend that you do here is to become more aware of your thoughts first of all. We're creatures of habit, and your evening snack habit will stem from a limited number of thoughts that you have acted on over and over the course of likely years, decades, or at the very least months. For me specifically, it's thoughts along the lines of, oh, some chocolate would be really nice, or I deserve it after the day I've had, or something more sneaky, like I can get away with this without it impacting my results. It's something along those lines. This could be triggered by any number of things: time of day, a comment from my partner, my blood sugar levels, my mood that day, but ultimately, it really doesn't matter. It's the start of a habit loop, and off I then toddle to Asda, I buy some chocolate, and voila, my reward in the form of some positive brain chemicals that you get from eating chocolate. And then the ensuing frustration I have once again that I've acted subconsciously and sabotaged my goals. Great stuff. Once I and you get better at seeing these thoughts in action, we're then better informed to let them go. This desire for chocolate is the same as my desire to not run or tell my girlfriend I'm not interested when she's telling some long boring story that I don't have any care to listen to, which for the record are two things that I do not do. And these are instances where I'm able to override my immediate thoughts and I decide how to act. I go out for runs, I'm kind and considerate to my girlfriend. So why don't I do this with evening cravings? The difference is that I'm more aware of these thoughts and I choose not to act on them. It's not about repeating your goals, although goal setting does have its place. We need to witness these thoughts occurring. Look at them like words on a board, rather than our innermost desires that must be acted on or else, even though that's how it feels, because that's not the case. This is a skill, it's a practice, it's one that you're doing elsewhere in your life, but you're currently in a cycle, with food at least, of repeatedly acting on these thoughts. The joy with this thought, and all thoughts, is that they will pass. If we view them as our innermost desires, these will have a bigger pull than if we look at them as fleeing whispers on the wind, which is exactly what they are. Using our goals, telling ourselves we don't want it, we don't want to eat these foods, we don't want it, and other similar tactics all validate these thoughts as real. You're entering into an argument that doesn't really exist. They're just thoughts. And the better you get at seeing this, the more able you are to then choose how to act, which in this case is not eating high-calorie food on an evening. So my task for you to go away with, the thing I want you to work on, is become more aware of your thoughts. Whether you do this by just sitting and listening or writing it down, I think writing it down is an excellent place to start. And that's what I would encourage you to do. And to really challenge yourself, what is a thought? Food for thought. I hope you found this useful.